Hi, everyone. This is the second episode that we're doing with kind of what's the difference between one community and the next community. I'm excited to have Jeremy and Janie from Kansas City. And why Kansas City? Well, if you've been watching NFL, you know the Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. So why not have someone from Kansas City?
Vinnie, you need to say that they're going to win the Super Bowl.
For the second year in a row.
Yeah.
The second 2 years in a row.
It's very exciting right now being in Kansas City.
So if let's say if they don't win the Super Bowl, can we get you on air right here that you're going to do something interactive?
Jeremy will. Just Jeremy.
I don't know. I'll cry.
He'll shave his head.
We'll cry.
Well, thank you for being on here, and I know you guys have been in the business for a long period of time. Janie, you said it's 22 years, I think, or
yeah, 1999. It's hard to believe that it's been 22 years.
Gosh, and you're still a youngster in the business, Jeremy. What is that?
I'm in my third year.
Third year.
Yeah.
Wow, but your background is in entertainment. That's why you love the Chiefs so much, huh?
I do. Yeah, I used to work in radio advertising. I worked for the Cumulus Radio Group. I don't know if there's Cumulus Radio in San Diego, but no, it was great. Did that for a long time, and I saw the great success and freedoms my wife was having, and I said, I want to be part of that. And left about 3 years ago. I left on great terms. Had some good people, still friends with, and man, I haven't looked back.
So that was simultaneously 3 years ago. That's when the Chiefs started getting good, huh?
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. But back when they were bad, I always had tickets to the game. Now I call in favors, and they just laugh at me.
Well, let's jump into it. People always ask me about what's the difference between this community and the next community. So I thought by putting this together, people can have a reference point if they're living in Kansas City, living in San Diego, wherever it might be, and kind of know the difference. So let's just jump into it. What's Escrow like? Or do you guys have Escrow in Kansas City?
So Escrow, just basically, we call it more just being under contract. It's funny, okay. Around the country, there are different terms and different ways of saying things. And we've learned that when we work with people relocating here to Kansas City. So, you're under contract typically for 30 to 45 days, go through inspections and the appraisal process, loan approval, and get to closing. So pretty straightforward. I've heard it's a lot easier here than in California.
So do you have an attorney, or do you have like a third party that, okay.
Yeah, no attorneys are involved, which probably is part of the reason why it's easier. Hate to say that, but we use title companies. Okay, and the title companies collect a flat fee, roughly they're, like $1,000 to $1,500, depending on the sales price, to close out a deal and make sure everything's legal with the county.
Okay, so it's really the title company and then the realtors. Those are the two big cooks in the kitchen.
And the lender, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we have in San Diego, we actually have escrow involved too. So we have title and we have escrow, and usually they're separate entities. So
gotcha. Yeah. We had an admin a couple years back that relocated to Kansas City from California. Don't ask me what part, because I can't remember. But when I gave her our checklist of, everything that needs to be done from contract to close, she asked me where the rest of it was. She said, oh, wow. This is way too short. Yeah. You have to be missing a couple of pages in this checklist. I'm like, this is it. Not that it's easy, because real estate is a complicated transaction, but apparently simpler than California.
We'll get into the disclosure talk, but yeah, it's a couple. We get a new document, or like, this seems so straightforward. Like, there's a document, and you might have it where it relates that we might have other sellers that we're working with, or we might have other buyers we're working with, but have no affiliation to that seller. And it's like so dense, but you're like, someone wants to sue in California about. That's all we have it now.
Yes, I'm sure.
All right, so let's jump into the process, because this is kind of exciting. Can you kind of about this?
It's being slow.
Yeah, we got some connectivity issues, so we see that you're trying to do something.
There it
is.
There
we go. Pop up yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we can see it. You want me to just tell you about that house, or anything specific?
No, just the price, information about it. I know it sounds like we're on a little bit of delay right now, but yeah, just kind of just jump in.
Okay.
Very good. So this is a house that we recently sold in Overland Park, Kansas, which is the suburb that we live in. Of course, we consider it all the Kansas City metro. And we just put this up because we thought, well, this might be a good example of what people in California can see sells here in Kansas City for roughly $500,000. And, so it's a good size house, lots of square footage, built in the 1980s, backs to trees. What you see behind there, it's truly, a treed area, huge cul-de-sac lot. Just a very typical house in Overland Park that you can get for that price point.
How much square footage would you roughly guesstimate on that?
I actually got that right here, including the finished basement. Finished basements are very common here. So all the finished square footage is 5,002 square feet. Yeah. So lots of space. We're pretty spoiled with that. And it's almost a half-acre lot. And so that's a little bit bigger lot than most here. I would say most lots around here are about a third acre. So it's slightly bigger than the average, but very, very nice space, plenty of room. You don't feel like you're right on top of your neighbors, even though you're in a subdivision.
Well, so for people watching, I'm gonna come back to this one in a second. Sure. Actually, what is this property? How much is it?
Okay, so this is just another example. This one sold recently, also in Overland Park, same suburb, and it sold for $320,000. So it is smaller. That one, including the finished basement, it was 2,996 square feet, and on a slightly smaller lot, of course, because you can see the house right next door. So. Just two good examples. And this one, the one that's 320, that is real close to your average price point here in Overland Park.
Wow. And so similar communities, nothing really different about the one community to the next?
Very similar communities. They feed actually into the exact same schools. So no differences there. And those two houses are probably 2 or 3 miles apart?
Yeah,
would you say?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And any kind of a special assessment, higher taxes, or anything like that?
No special assessments. Those are, really pretty rare here. Thank goodness. Taxes on the house you're looking at are $4,260 a year. I don't know how that compares to San Diego, but that's what that one has.
Yeah, roughly we're about 1.25 percentage points of the value of the property. So that's kind of roughly where we sit. Now, let me see. Here it is right here. So to give you kind of reference point, this is a townhome in Otay Ranch, so closer to the border, right? You're talking about the first property that was 5,000 square feet, I believe.
Correct.
This one is 1,900 square feet, or 1,900 and some change. We had it listed for 519.
Wow.
It's a townhome, mind you. It's a townhome, not a single townhome. 519. And we're under contract and higher than the middle of the fives. I can't tell you exactly, but higher than the middle of the fives right now with multiple offers. And there's special assessments that go into this community right here. So that for the infrastructure that's built, the developers will make bonds like that for the special assessments, and then the homeowners pay for it. But so that's a little bit of difference of property that you're going to get in San Diego compared to Kansas City.
Which we expect, of course. You guys are much higher average price point. Roughly what year was that townhome built, would you say?
This one was 2015, so it's a newer community.
Newer, okay. Yeah. So I'd say a newer townhome, I'm not looking it up, but just off the top of my head, for that square footage in Overland Park, I would guess, maybe right around 300,000, somewhere in there.
Okay.
For that new, because these two homes that we showed you were built more in the 80s, so they're not new home prices. If we were looking at homes, single family homes that were built in 2015 in Overland Park, we'd be up closer to 500,000 for the smaller and 700,000 for the bigger square footage.
in those two communities in Overland Park that you sent, was there any HOA attached to those properties?
Yeah, that crossed my mind when you were talking about developers. So HOAs are very common in Overland Park, not throughout all of Kansas City, but certainly in Overland Park, that's been a big deal in development. So the $320,000 house, that HOA is $285 annually. Basically, that covers trash and recycle.
Okay.
So it's coordinated for the community. And then the other one actually is unique. The more expensive home had an optional HOA. So everybody's on their own for trash and recycle there. And they did not have any amenities, no pool, no clubhouse, nothing like that. So theirs were basically $100 a year. That's pretty unusual for that more expensive one.
I've never heard of that. So an optional trash pickup for the HOA. I mean,
that one's highly unusual. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's pretty rare. Most HOAs just either you have to participate, to get your trash picked up all in the same day, make it convenient, and you get a better price, of course, when they're doing the whole neighborhood. And now these neighborhoods, neither one of them include pools or clubhouses. If you get into pools and clubhouses and you're charging, HOA fees for that, you're closer to $500 a year.
Okay. So, I mean, not too far off. That makes sense. But once you're under contract, home inspection, disclosure, and we talked about that briefly. We have a lot of disclosures in California. How, roughly, could you give an idea of how long is your listing agreement? How long is your purchase agreement? Do you have an idea?
So it's changed in recent years because things sell so quickly. When I first got into the business, I used to do them for a year. Not that it took a year, but I would just sign them up for a year. Now I never sign one up for more than 6 months. And many times it's only 3 months because we know it's going to sell the first weekend on the market and it's going to close 45 days later. So 3 months is still excessive, really. in the current market. And we've been in this market, this strong of a market, probably for about 5 years now.
Okay. And how many documents, like papers, because we have probably for our listing agreement, I would say maybe 30 pages or so.
Okay.
Is that about similar to you guys?
So that just the listing agreement, do you mean with all the addendums?
Yeah, with addendums that we're adding on for things like that. I'm just random.
Sure. Listing, no, I'd say we're probably maybe 12 pages.
Okay, and then...
Well, I guess maybe a little more with seller's disclosures, maybe up to 20 once you add the seller's disclosures onto that.
Oh yeah, seller disclosures. Oh my gosh, we're talking about a lot more. We start getting into probably the 70 pages.
Oh wow. No, our disclosure is an 8-page document, and people, think they think that's rough. I tell them this will take you 45 minutes to fill out, and they sigh and act like it's a big deal, but it's only 8 pages.
Yeah, we have 2 documents that they fill out: SPQ, seller property questionnaire, and the transfer disclosure. And then a lot of the other stuff is self-populated based off buying in this area, all this kind of stuff. Okay. So 8 documents that they actually fill out themselves.
8 pages.
8 pages. Okay.
One document.
And then besides that, so the disclosure there, the 8 pages. What else is given to the buyer during the process? Is it a lot of other documents, or that's pretty much it?
Oh, that's pretty much it. Of course, we have lead-based paint if it's an older home. Franchise documents that, Keller Williams and various companies have to have signed. Right now, we have COVID documents, 2 documents that people have to sign, but those are only 1 page each. And hopefully those go away, eventually. So that's it. There's very little information that's passed on to the buyer. The disclosures, and then, of course, they're on their own to do research with the county if they want to know anything more. And then, of course, inspections are really where we get the majority of the information.
And are those inspections, they're done when you're under contract, right?
Correct. We have 10 calendar days to get inspections done.
Okay. And is that a hard out? Like here, you actually, for residential purchases, you have to actually sign off on those contingencies saying that, okay, I agree, I'm going forward. Is that the same thing there? Or
yes. Yeah, okay. There's a document that has to be signed before the end of that 10th day. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the seller has the ability to back out if it's not signed by that 10th day?
Correct. Yeah. So we watch that real closely.
Okay. And then you've already talked about it, days on market. It's flying right now. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if they're priced correctly, you know, they're selling the first 2 to 3 days on the market with bidding wars. So
wow.
I don't like it. Yeah. I feel bad. You know, it's hard for buyers, and people are paying a premium for houses, and we all know it. You know, so it's just hard to see, but we just have such an inventory shortage. It's not going away anytime soon.
Do you foresee that going, like a lot more inventory coming in the future, or you think at the end of the year, next year?
No, we've been in bidding wars for, like I said, about 5 years now. So it's been an ongoing problem. And the builder, you know, they say a lot of it has to do with builders, and the builders just can't build fast enough in order to get people into those homes and then free up the homes that they're going to sell. So we're just, a lot of this, you know, relies on them. And of course, we've got a lot of first-time buyers coming into the market. We've got a lot of relocating people coming into the market. So it's just the perfect storm, I guess, for inventory. And it'll be interesting to see how it resolves. We thought, honestly, with COVID, that would change things, you know, and change the market. Kansas City shut down for about 6 weeks with the stay-at-home order back in March. And boy, I thought maybe we'd be looking at 07, 08, 09 times again. So we were pretty nervous because we're both full-time in the business. But it did slow down drastically for those 6 weeks, but it came back with a vengeance that May when things opened back up again.
Because here in San Diego, to give you kind of reference point, we had across San Diego County in July 2019 about 7,000 properties on the market. Mm-hmm. Right now, we sit at about 2,300.
Okay, yeah.
We've seen a drastic drop in properties, inventory. Yeah. Have you seen that? Because you said the last 5 years it's been kind of chaotic. Has it been worse so?
Yeah, it's just stayed chaotic. I've got 2019 compared to 22, and inventory's down 51% just from year to year. Yeah, it's intense, and it's not unusual to see, you know, anywhere from 10 to 20 offers on one property. So
yeah. Well, let's get to the fun stuff. The people now, if you are watching, you're looking to move to Kansas City, don't worry, people are still buying properties, people are still selling. So who are the people that are moving to Kansas City?
You want to take that one? I've talked a lot.
You can tell, you know, who knows this business real well. You know, people who are moving to Kansas City, you know, from a relocation standpoint, you know, we have the T-Mobile Sprint merger happened. Sprint used to be headquartered right here in Overland Park. And what we've been hearing is that there are going to be more T-Mobile executives moving to Kansas City because the cost of living is so much nicer, so much lower here in Kansas City. You know, some of the major employers have been pull a list here. You know, Cerner Corporation. I don't know if you know who Cerner is. They are a medical software company. They've got about 18,000 employees just here in Kansas City. So people with a technical, you know, background are being hired left and right. They're coming. Garmin is a big company headquartered here in Kansas City. Actually, in the town I grew up in. You know, the Federal Reserve Bank. I have heard that Kansas City is ranks number 2 for federal employees, next to you know, Washington D.C. The IRS has a big operation here. Who just moved? Who's moving all their employees here? Like the FDA maybe might be moving to Kansas City.
Are there a lot of grant programs in Kansas City because you guys have so many like federal employees and FDA, all this kind of stuff? Are there grant programs for people to buy in Kansas City?
For businesses or
for individuals? For individuals, I know we have here like in Pocket, where we'll have like grants for people, government assistance to purchase like payment. But yeah, I was just nothing like that.
No, I mean, we have a first-time home buyers grant program, but you know, not for anybody besides first-time home buyers. That's it. So I guess incentives are not needed. I don't know. Yeah.
Do you know off the top of your head by chance what kind of incentives for the first-time home buyer program?
Yeah, so they cover this. If they are approved, which you can't make too much money. That's, you know, a certain amount of income there. If they're approved, then their 3% down payment is covered. and they have to live in the house for a certain number of years. I can't remember, it's 5 or 7, a certain number of years. If they do sell the house before then they just have to pay the prorated difference there. So it's a nice incentive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Back in the days when we used to get sellers to pay buyers closing costs, they could get into a house for basically nothing. Yeah. So
good days. I mean, I haven't heard a lot of those kind of, well, especially now, but a lot of those programs more recently. We had a couple of those in the past, and it was always nice when you can get a client into a property for basically nothing, like you're saying.
Right.
Well, let's. Oh, sorry, you can say something, Jeremy?
No, I was just as interested. You're going to hear. Obviously, people are tuning in because we're from Kansas City, and you're going to hear us talk a lot about Overland Park, which is a suburb of Kansas City. Kansas City metropolitan area is about 8,500 square miles. So people who talk about, some of the negatives of Kansas City, how spread out the entire town is. So most realtors will specialize in an area so that we're not having to drive all over town. And we just happen to choose to specialize in Overland Park.
But we do have to have 2 state licenses, of course. So we're on the Kansas side. So we have a Kansas state license, but we are, 7 miles to the state line of Missouri. And so, of course, we go over to the Missouri side quite often. So we have both state licenses.
So big to cover, like at least an understanding of the different communities and the price point, even though they're maybe outside your reach or you guys don't go there, at least kind of have an understanding of this would be kind of this pricing, so and so forth.
Yeah. So I'm going to slightly correct Jeremy. We do go there. We do go on both sides of the state line. Most of our business is in Overland Park, which is what we're talking a lot about. But certainly, I actually grew up on the Missouri side, so certainly I still have a lot of contacts there, and I'm over there, regularly. But the majority of our business is Overland Park. So for our whole MLS system, which of course covers both sides of our state line, the whole metro, the average price point, if I can find it, I know it's on here, is for a home is $283,000 for the whole metro. And then if you just look at our county where Overland Park sits within, so Johnson County, which is on the Kansas side, that average sales price is $398,000. So over $100,000 higher average price point in our county versus the metro.
And how far of a distance do you think that is, like drive-wise?
Well, honestly, you could get to another county in 15 minutes. It's, but it could also be up to an hour. The lower price point encompasses probably about an hour drive any direction you want to go.
Because we have something similar in San Diego. We have Riverside County, where it's like Temecula, Marietta, if you know that, people listening, and it's about an hour drive north, and the price point jumps down by maybe 100,000, 150,000 on the property. So we have the same kind of thing. And for myself, I usually don't go up that direction. I have a team member that does it because you're not as involved in those communities. So it's sometimes a little harder to understand, especially with the bidding wars that are going on the buying side.
That's right. Yeah, there are certain parts of our metro that we will refer business to. It's not that we can't sell it, but we're just, like you said, you're just not there often enough. And we have partners in other parts of the metro that are better specialized in those areas.
So if you're listening, though, if you're looking to buy anywhere in Kansas City, give them a call. And you never know. They're going to at least tell you the truth and say, hey, first off, go Chiefs. Secondly, someone in that area. So let's talk about basically entertainment out there. We already talked about the Chiefs. Let's get into that. You're a big fan.
Oh, yeah. Chiefs are exciting, particularly the last several years since, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. We could talk all day about the Chiefs. But what's fun with, Arrowhead, which is where, the Chiefs play, and then Kauffman Stadium, which is where the Royals play. And I see you wearing your Padres hat there. That's on the same property. They are right next to each other. And that is, it's actually in a town called Independence. It's on the Missouri side of Kansas City. So there's entertainment there. And then on the Kansas side, staying on I-70 and 435, is where Sporting KC is. And that is our professional soccer team. And that's fun. I've been reading an article lately we don't have an NBA team in Kansas City or an NHL team, but there's conversation between Kansas City and Las Vegas potentially getting a basketball team. In my opinion, I don't see Kansas City getting an NBA team. They would play at what used to be called Sprint Center, now called T-Mobile Center, and I have heard it is a big arena for all the concerts, with all the ice skating shows, with all the monster truck shows happen downtown Kansas City. I have heard that is the third busiest arena in the world. Not for audience count, but just there's always an activity. There's always a show. There's always something happening there. And then right next to the T-Mobile Center is the Power Light District, which is a big entertainment district in Kansas City. And that place is packed. A lot of smaller outdoor concerts are happening there. A lot of jazz clubs in Kansas City.
Kansas City has a rich jazz history. So for people who don't know that, there's a whole corridor near downtown with jazz clubs.
Jeremy, I feel like you're picking us on us San Diegans about that we don't have all these sports teams.
Another fun thing about Kansas City is all the barbecue restaurants. There's probably 80 different barbecue restaurants. People have probably heard about Gates before. So I'll tell you what, if anyone posts in the notes their favorite barbecue place in Kansas City, I'll send them a bottle of barbecue sauce. We have all sorts of fun things here and give away.
Oh, that's perfect right there.
Yeah.
What is it? So is it wet barbecue then, right? Because there's dry barbecue and wet barbecue. So wet barbecue is Kansas City.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's all sauce based and it's amazing.
What's your take on dry barbecue?
Are
you talking like down in Memphis?
Yeah,
we do not discriminate. We love all barbecue.
Yes.
we visited different barbecue towns and tried it out and decided we love it all. But of course, our preference is Kansas City
barbecue.
Well, thank you. If you're listening right now and you want to get away from the hustle and bustle, well, I mean, hustle and bustle compared to San Diego and the price point, all that kind of stuff, and enjoy all the fun, the barbecue, the Kansas City has to offer, reach out to Jeremy and Jane. They would love to help you out.
We have all 4 seasons here. Winter, fall, spring. They're very distinct and different. So, if you're tired of always having sunshine in California.
And a lot of people probably talk about what they love about San Diego, that it's so close to the ocean. Sure. An exciting thing about Kansas City, it is evenly placed between the Pacific Ocean and the Atlantic Ocean. So you've got your equal distance to both oceans.
We're so spoiled out here. It rained yesterday, and everyone's freaking out, scared. We can't go outside because it's windy, it's raining, and you know what? It's a difficult place to live sometimes.
That sounds terrible. It snowed. There's snow on the ground here, and Jeremy still got up and went out first thing this morning. The snow and ice doesn't stop the Kansas Cityans.
You just drive a little slower, so.
Right.
Make it a little tough. Well, thank you guys for being on here. Everyone listening, thank you for watching. If you have any questions about Kansas City, reach out to them. If you have any questions about San Diego, reach out to me and one of us.